What is going on, friends? Matt Carter, that YouTube realtor, and welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, I talk about everything real estate related and particularly pertaining to the London and surrounding region. So today I'm going to be talking about something that's going to become pretty pertinent in the next couple months, and that's going to be buying a home in the wintertime. Generally speaking, we do see a cool off in the market, so to speak. A lot of people do take a break from either searching for a house or putting their house up for sale, just because it can be a very busy time for a lot of people. But if you are looking to get into the market, particularly on the buying side of things, there are some things that you want to take note of when going to view properties. You could potentially take advantage of a less competitive market. There's definitely going to be a lot less people looking for homes, but at the same time, those people are still going to be quite competitive and putting in strong offers because they're going to be the very motivated people looking to make a move. There are a few things that make it a little trickier to search in the wintertime as well, and particularly has to do with the weather out there. A lot of the times you're going to be rolling up to houses. We're just going to have a big snowfall that's happened, so it's going to be hard to assess certain things. So a lot of the time, especially in the warmer months, a lot of people come up to a house, they take a look at the great landscaping that everybody has done, or if the condition of the driveway or walkway is in not so great condition, you can see that quite easily. One thing in the winter, you're not going to be able to take a look at that yard. You're not going to be able to take a look at all of that driveway or walkway potentially if the seller hasn't cleared that snow. And another thing, you're going to want to take a look at the actual outside, the exterior of that home. One thing to note if you're coming up on the house is to take a look at that roof. Usually what we look for is the shingles and the quality of that roof to see how old they are, potentially if it's going to be a big ticket item to come up for replacement soon. But if we've just had snow, you're not going to be able to really see that. So what you're going to want to do is definitely ask for that information from the seller or the seller's agent to make sure you know the exact age of that roof. Another interesting thing to note, if you are coming up on a house and we have just had a snowfall, maybe in the last couple of days or so, take a look at all the roofs around in that neighborhood. If they all have snow on them and the one that you're seeing doesn't, it could indicate that there's poor insulation in that attic and that there is heat loss occurring from the rest of the house and melting that snow. So it's best to get a sense of that yard too. If you can't really see everything that's going on the grass and the gardens, you want to really make sure that you try to ask for pictures of that during the summer, because one thing you really want to look for is any potential grading issues you have with the property, making sure that everything slopes correctly, because the last thing you need is buying a house in the winter, moving in towards the end of the winter or the springtime, and then when everything thaws, you get a whole bunch of water in your house. Another thing you want to take a look at too on the exterior of the home, particularly in the backyard, is going to be any pools or hot tubs that are out there. Most people close their pools for the winter. Some people keep their hot tubs open, but you're going to want to make sure that you get as much information as possible about those items, because you're not going to be able to actually see them. You're not going to see the condition of, let's say, the liner or the concrete surround potentially around that pool, and make sure that they've been regularly maintained. If they do have pool sheds or anything like that, make sure you can get access to them. Make sure that they've cleared the path with snow, and that you can get into those sheds and take a look at the equipment that's being used for that pool. Once you actually get into that house, there's a couple things that you're going to want to look out for too that could potentially be red flags. One big thing you want to look at is the windows. If there's any condensation, any fogging happening, any moisture or anything like that around the windows, it could be potential that the seals have actually cracked in those windows, and then you're going to have issues with drafts and air leaking and not being energy efficient. Windows can be really expensive to fix, so make sure you take a look at all of them in the house, regardless of what they say on the listing. Another thing to note when you're going through the house, they might have the furnace cranked up toasty warm, so when you're coming in out of the cold, but make sure you take note of when you're going from room to room if there's any big discrepancies between the temperature. A lot of the times, depending on the style of the home, there may be warmer and cooler rooms. And sometimes this is completely normal depending on if a certain area is built on a concrete slab or just in certain areas of the house. But it could be potentially bigger issues if the ventilation in the house isn't done properly or if there's an issue with it. So make sure you take note of it, and if there are any issues, you inquire further to what's actually going on. Another thing to consider would be the air conditioner and the sump pump in the house if it has it. So you're going to want to make sure, because since you can't run those items during the winter, they're not going to be functional. You're going to want to make sure that you get as much information as possible, get maintenance records, receipts, anything like that, the age of it. Make sure you get as much information as possible, because when the spring and the summer comes around, you don't want to be at foot with a big bill to have to replace your air conditioner or get a new sump pump. At the end of the day, for whatever you're looking at, you're going to want to get as much information as possible for items either you can't see or you have trouble taking a look at. So get receipts, photos, anything like that, information from those sellers on what's going on with the house, if they've had any issues, to make sure that you don't run into anything when that thaw comes. Well, the buyer pool can be a lot lower in the winter for looking for homes. Don't just automatically assume you're going to get a good deal. There's going to be a lot of motivated people out there. There's going to be a lot of people looking to make strong offers on properties. So don't think you're the only one out there. So hopefully this can help you in looking for a home during the winter months. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out. I'd be happy to help you. And if you like this content, make sure you pass it along to anybody you think would value from it as well. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to make sure you get notified for all my videos that come up in the future. And until then, take care.